bacon on right now.
That's my favorite way.
I know. All right, no talking.
Nope.
Let's start them up.
Yeah, somebody's got to check it. One of you guys are going to check, right? Because every now and then.
No, it's live. We're live now.
I don't have my glasses.
Okay.
I can't see it.
It is 6 o'clock here in Missouri, and this is Real Unfiltered Talk. Hello, good evening. My name is James Bryant, alongside the world champion, the one, the only, the famous Dion Hibden. Dion, good evening. How you doing tonight?
I am doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Good. I'm just waiting for the live feed to kick in, and
Good.
We're going to transition this over. We should be good to go here in just a second. Maybe. Good grief.
What's that red line?
I don't know.
You
I
don't
never
know?
can get anything to work. You know how that works.
It's
Quick
okay. It's
Transitions.
going through my face.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Probably just live now.
He probably put it that way intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey, how's that?
Now we're centered up.
Now we're cooking. Should I start over?
No, not at all. I think everybody knows
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Good. It's been stormy and rainy around here, so if there's a bunch of background noise, we apologize ahead
It
of time.
has been stormy.
Yep. So, but it's got sound, right? So we're good.
All right,
It's working.
we're going.
What do you-
Everything's working.
Everything's working.
All right.
It's nothing beats having a bunch of guys drinking beers. Our tech
Our
guys.
tech guys, say we're in the green. It's a
good.
go.
It's a go. Let's roll.
That's right.
So yeah.
It's
So what do you got for me tonight?
like NASA. What?
What do you got?
Ah,
I'm always the spearheader of the
we got
conversations.
lots of fresh water. I know that.
How was your week?
Oh, my week's been good.
Good. Right
Been
on.
very good.
You want to take Peyton's call?
No,
All right.
he just want to know if I want to play golf tomorrow.
All right. Just checking. Just checking.
I don't like sloshing around, losing my balls in the ponds and stuff like that.
I hear you.
I don't like washing my balls off too much.
It's kind of the. Here we go.
And we're off.
I was going to talk about like slow greens, but here we go. Talking about wet balls. So here we go.
Slow green.
Welcome to Real Unfiltered Talk. Woo! Guess what I titled this one?
What's that?
Episode 8, Tattletale Fisherman.
Tattletale.
Tattletale bass fishing,
You know, that's one thing
And-
the internet provides.
and a little bit of post-spawn.
Yeah, the internet provides tattletales. That's for sure. That's kind of a crazy deal. I kind of get sick of watching that after a while.
You know, I thought since we did our fishing show, I probably ought to start doing a little research on fishermen. And I ran across a story I want to share with you.
Okay.
And it was a live video by Gerald Swindell. And don't know your opinion of Gerald. You know, he's a pretty popular guy out there. And he's what I would consider a kind of a in-the-middle guy.
In the middle of what?
Well, he's kind of he's not really an old school guy, and he's not really a modern guy, but he kind of mixes in the middle. Am I wrong there?
Yeah, but no. He's kind of he's old school now compared to everybody else.
I'll
But
give you that. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of my thoughts on the thing.
But yeah, for a long time he was one of the newer guys. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, he posted a video last week, and really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. But he said, you know, kind of didn't think I needed to make this post, but going to make this post. And he said, for those that are kind of wondering, he said about Trey McKinney and I getting into it. He said we didn't get into it. He said, but I want to tell you the story what happened. And I thought because you used to fish BSS, I wanted to kind of share with you his story from my perspective of what he said, kind of what your feedback on it. Okay. So BSS runs with Marshalls now, which you didn't have Marshalls back in the day, correct?
No, we just had co-anglers.
So they had a Marshall. He had a Marshall in the boat. Obviously, there was a pre-tournament meeting. Obviously, you know the rules. He takes off. And I think they were fishing Chickamauga. I believe. Toyota Series Chickamauga. I could be wrong, but I think it was. But he said as they took off, he said there's a very well-known point you cut across. He said everyone has to go wide because it's dangerous. Said there's train trussels. There's all kinds of stuff there. And he said he makes his wide bend. And sure enough, Trey McKinney cuts across that corner through the no-wake buoy and out the other side. He said, which A, was an illegal turn, B, was dangerous, and the marshal said, who was that? He said, Trey McKinney. So he fished out his day, and he went back, and there's a point where you ask, do I say something? So that's kind of the point of my episode tonight. I'll tell you the rest of the story as it goes, but first of all, what's your thoughts on that initial layout of my story.
You know, I don't like to see anybody be unsafe, and the thing of it is, I've probably had more trouble. I'm bad about not holding my tongue. Okay, I've pissed away more good sponsors than I'll ever get in my lifetime, and some of that's because I can't. I don't take no crap off nobody. And when I say that, I don't mean it in a bad way because I'm the easiest going SOB on the planet. But if I see something that's unsafe and I feel like it's endangering somebody, I'm going to say something. And I would probably first have went to him and told him personally,
Okay,
hey, dude, that's dangerous. You've got another guy in the boat with you, and you're responsible for his life also.
Right.
So, just trying to outrun somebody to a fishing spot, guess what?
Okay,
that's not safe.
That's stage one of the story. So stage two, as Gerald said, and just like you did, he said, I'm not one to go running up to anybody. He said, I go to the source and tell them they need to take care of the situation. He said, it's not for me to go out there and be the tattletale, but instead, he said, I go up to somebody and say, what are you going to do about this? You know what happened. What are you going to do about it? And he said, and he was at a campground. He pointed across, said, this guy over here, and I can't remember who it was, but he said, it's one of my best friends. We travel together. We do everything together. He said, if he would have done that, I would have walked straight up to him and said, what are you going to do? And he would say, you know what? Let me go talk to at Lisa Talmadge. Let me go talk to Lisa and do this. For those that don't follow, BSS, Lisa Talmadge is the tournament director, the boss for BSS now.
Yeah.
And from what research I did on her this week, she is a rules, you follow the rules and that's it. So Gerald says, I went up to Trey and said, what are you going to do about this? He said, because if you're not going to do anything, I'm going to have to go to Lisa. And his response was, you ready for this? Well, good for you. That's what he said. That's what he said to Gerald Swindle. He said, well, good for you, buddy.
Now, see, that's where me and Gerald differ because I would have hammered his ass right there. I'd have probably, really, no kidding, and I'd have knocked his teeth loose.
I don't know the rest of the story because Gerald didn't go into it, but it's pretty safe to assume he went to Lisa, who is tournament director, and probably had to file a protest, which he said, in the bass industry, in the bass fishing industry, you don't want to do that. You just don't. It's just not good for anybody. But you give the fishermen the opportunity to do so, but it didn't. So I guess tonight's episode is when's it right and when's it wrong to be the tattletale in the bass fishing industry?
Well,
or is that called tattletale?
When it's safety, I'll be the first to tell you. I'm going to tell on your ass. If I think you're doing something that's endangering somebody else's life, it's just a matter of time till you hurt somebody. Bass boats, you are right on the hinge of out of control when you're running a bass boat wide open. And I know because I have crashed, and when I say I have crashed 2 times in my life, and once was with my dad and once was with my son. And so fortunately enough, I kept it in the family, but still, you are right on the hinge of being out of control on any given second. It doesn't take much to wreck a boat. And you are responsible for that guy in the boat with you.
And that's what I was getting ready to say. I used to remember a term that was a term when I used to get arrested a lot, and that's called in police custody.
Yeah.
What that means is when you're in their custody, you're in their care.
Yeah.
So when you have a co-angler in the boat, that that's, and they're laughing out there, but I mean, you learn the term, when you're in handcuffs and you're wondering what the hell you did wrong, which you know what you did, but you're faking it.
Now, how old is Trey McKinney?
I don't know. I could look that up, but I'm going to guess him in his 20s. I'm guessing 20s, 30s, somewhere in that ballpark. Young guy, very, very well followed on social media.
I'm kind of a hardhead, and I always have been, but I feel like it's my responsibility as somebody who has been doing it for a long time to point out when somebody else screws up. Okay?
Sure.
I mean, that's what my dad did. You think my dad didn't tell me I was a dumbass? Many, many times. Hey, stupid, you're not supposed to do that. But it's one of those things. These kids have been given, and I'm not saying they've been given everything. What I'm saying is some portion of that kid has never been told that simple fact. Hey, you're responsible for that guy too.
Our
You
tech,
crash.
yeah, our tech guy Kevin, he's 19.
19.
Fishing Pro BSS.
Guess what?
So,
It's
yeah.
Gerald Swindell's responsibility to set him straight.
Well, so here's another caveat I want to throw in here too. Gerald says that when you go up to sign your ticket now, your way ticket, also in that ticket it says, you signed to a test that day. I did not do anything illegal and I didn't see anything illegal. And you sign that off every time you weigh through the gate.
Yep.
So he also has an obligation to the tournament organization he fishes for. Whether he wants to or not, you have to. Because turns out later he wins a bunch of money, gets a polygraph, and he fails the question because he didn't report something he saw. That cost him money too.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody following behind him saw both things happen and said, well, Gerald didn't say anything, I'm not either.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a weird deal. You know, you don't want to stir up no stuff in such a small industry that we're in, you know, because we're all a pretty tight-knit group. But in the end, if it involves safety, you got to say something, you know, and like I say, I don't know Trey McKinney if he walked through that door right there.
Sure.
As far as I know, I've never seen the man in my life. But if he ever walks up to me and he shakes my hand, I'll tell him what a dumbass move that was.
But now let's back up a minute because I'm only taking the side of what I heard
Gerald
Swindell said. Maybe Trey didn't do anything.
Maybe he didn't.
Maybe he cut the buoy and Gerald's old guy and didn't have his glasses on, didn't see it right. Maybe the G-man just oversaw the whole thing and it was a misunderstanding.
I've known Gerald most of my life. Well, I've known him his whole career, you know, because I started about 15 years before he did. And I know him to be a pretty straight shooter for the most part.
So he's not. I guess what I'm getting at is not a crybaby bitch.
No,
okay,
not really.
Got it. All right. So there you go. Dion Hibden says Gerald Swindell is not a crybaby bitch. So we can move on with that one.
Yeah. No,
right.
I don't.
I'll take that. But I don't know Gerald. I don't know.
Well,
there are guys on the surface that are tremendous and articulate and they speak well and they're good on stage. And when they walk off, prick.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, and we know a couple of those guys.
Oh,
so,
I know lots of them. Yeah.
That's right. You know, they're really good in front of the camera. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention any names of anybody like that Wally Marshall, but anyway.
But facts are facts.
That's
I
right.
mean, you know, that's the way it is.
That's right. So, but, you know.
You're not the only one knew that, you know.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
That's one of those things when you watch in the movies, you know, they put these little subliminal things in there. I'm not going to think bad about anybody.
No.
That's not the way we roll here at Unfiltered Talk. So anyway, yeah, there's a few, and I still have an issue deep down. We'll get to that other day, on my list of people I don't like. You know,
he's at the top.
One, second one's, and we've talked about off the air a few times. We'll talk about someday. Kobe Krieger is on my low list, and you like him.
I like him.
You
just
like
fine.
him. I don't. I know it's only because I had a bad experience in my rookie year fishing out there, and
I've had no bad dealings with Kobe.
But I have witnesses. So anyway, that's no big deal. That's a whole nother story completely.
I'm going to tell you right now. I think that the internet, that you have to use this for good and not evil. And when I say that, some of this stuff that I'm seeing out there now, oh my gosh, boys, go someplace that, I mean, you need to be like it was when you was a kid and your mom and dad told you, go out in the yard and fight. You know, just get out of here. I don't want to hear that crap.
It's like
and people on the internet, they don't want to hear that stuff.
1970s NASCAR.
Yes,
crash your cars, climb out, and whoop somebody's ass.
Fight and get it done, and then go drink a beer.
Let's do it.
You know, it's just one of those deals that some of this stuff that's coming out now, it's just pathetic. And I like I say, I don't want to see it.
I hear you. And it's not that bad. I just thought, you know, for Gerald Swindell to go online and make a social media post to say, hey, I'm already hearing a bunch of crap, so I need to clear the air, tell you what happened, let everybody know.
You got to defend yourself, you know,
for doing the right thing.
Well,
from what we know,
he's defending himself.
That's
you know, and like I say, do I believe that came out of that kid's mouth? Ah, boy,
you know it did.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it did.
When crap like that happens, you don't make it up. You know.
That would be it's not 20 years ago, I can tell you that.
That's true.
Because 20 years ago, he'd have been laying there in a little crumpled heap on the ground.
I told that to my
girlfriend. I wouldn't care if he was 19 years old or 12 years old.
I told that to my girlfriend the other night. I said, somewhere along the line in the last 20 years, kids got rights.
Yeah.
It's weird. Parents can't beat their kids anymore. All of a sudden they got rights, and now all of a sudden
I
now
think
we all have to be like understanding of their feelings instead of just kicking them in their teeth.
I think the worst beating my dad ever gave me was after I was 19 years old.
Well, you should have known better.
And I
You
should
probably
have known
deserved that
better.
whipping
That's
times
right.
two.
I deserved every square inch of it, but still.
Yeah, I remember your brother told me a story once about you guys sneaking out, and he thought that let's check my sound, that your mother's going to shoot you through the screen door, and you guys snuck in late. You remember that story?
Yeah, she probably would have.
Yeah. I bet you didn't want some time talking
You
about
didn't
that
sneak
story,
up
too.
on my mom. You better not. You better let her know. Hey, Mom, it's me coming in.
How's she doing?
She's doing good.
She was
doing
a little under the weather last week.
She was a little under the weather.
Oh.
I think she's getting it lined
back
out.
on track.
Yeah, she's getting it lined out. She's watching right now. So
Cool. Well, Mama
So-
Stella, we're
so-
going to have you on here pretty soon,
so
because
don't start no stuff that I can't cover
that's
up.
going to be a show for a show. Might be a
That's
two-parter,
right.
maybe
That's
even
right.
a three-parter.
Yeah,
It's like, oh my God.
it might take a week to get all her stories.
We should have her like a once-a-month thing
That could work.
until you're like, hey, I don't want to talk to Mom anymore. And then you get that phone call.
Uh-huh.
That's the one thing
I
when
know.
we first started the podcast, was the first phone call when we were done.
Absolutely.
It's like, you dumbasses, your sound sucks, you
Yep.
not talking what we're supposed to do. But hey, I like you guys. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Mother's Day's creeping up on us.
Hey, yeah, for all you fishermen out there, this
Don't
weekend,
screw
Mother's
that
Day,
up.
don't forget. That does not mean you can buy tackle for them, but sometimes you can. I thought that'd be a pretty good trick. Buy all the stuff you like, give it to him for Mother's Day, and she's like, I didn't want any of that. Just like, oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And just take it.
I'll take it back.
Yeah, I'll take it back and then put it in your pocket. Think that'd work?
Not with my wife. No.
All right.
My wife likes fishing the Thursday nighters too much.
I thought we'd talk a lot more about tattletelling, but I think we're done, aren't we? We covered it. If it's a safety issue, if the rules say you have to disclose it, that's good. But let's say the small 50 boat club tournament, guys getting together once a month, doing their thing, paying $100 to go fish, having a good time. Do you encourage those guys if you see something wrong? Or you just go to the person individually and say, hey, you're screwing it up for the rest of us?
Oh, I do. I mean, like I say, I point stuff out. Because I feel like it's my moral obligation to let them know, hey, you're screwing up. You can't do that. That's not right. It's either ethically or whatever the situation is. If I feel like it's not right, I'm going to tell them.
Yeah.
Simple as that. And I've told lots of them. That's got big names in the sport. Hey, dude, that's not right. You can't do that.
And there's nothing. I guess what I'm trying to tell fishermen is it's okay. It's okay to do that.
Yes. Just go
don't
talk
feel like
to
you're
them,
getting
man.
ostracized by your fishing community, because
No.
they're not going to do that. Yeah, that guy's going to say a lot of bad things about you, but they do that because they know they're guilty and they know their conscience is getting to them because they got called out in front of all their buddies.
Yep.
It's don't be late.
I try to be tactful. I don't want to.
Jeremy, don't be late.
I don't want to be embarrassing to anybody. I don't want anybody to be embarrassed by me crawling their ass over something that's wrong.
So don't be.
But so just don't do.
Yep.
Don't do stuff.
That's how you
like
keep
that.
the sport pure.
Yeah.
Just call it out. It's all good. So okay, we're going to close the page on that one.
All right.
Moving
on.
I have big industry news tonight.
Let's hear it.
All right. So there's been a rod company sellout this week. Have you heard any of that news?
No.
Dobbins rods sold.
Huh.
Mid-America rods sold. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Mid-America rods, but I'm going to give you an education on that. Have you ever heard of GSM Outdoors?
Yeah.
Okay, so GSM Outdoors, let me give everybody an education about this one. And for the record, I'm not going to say anything derogatory or bad about GSM Outdoors. I am going to have a conversation about corporate America buying out every single tackle company that's out there. But GSM Outdoors currently owns 42 hunting brands. And that's Arrows, Blinds, Ameristep. And I went through it and looked. 42 hunting companies. They have since got into the fishing industry and they have purchased. Are you ready? I'm going to run this down. You ready? Bill Lewis Rattle Traps. Bought them. Big Bite Baits. Buco Brand. Buckeye Lures. Cuda. Frog Factory. Phoenix Rods. Steel Shad. And Gary Yamamoto Baits. They bought all of those. And then this week they acquired Dobbins Rods and Mid-America. Now, Mid-America is a very unknown company out there. They're down in Arkansas. but they are well known for their private label rod brand, which is called Virtus. Heard of Virtus?
Yep.
So what Mid America does is they manufacture their rods, but they're known for private labeling for a bunch of other rod companies, putting their label on them because they're down there in Arkansas making made in America rods. So I would say that probably a high percentage of rods that you see out there that are made in USA, probably a high percentage of them come from this company. So GSM buys that company for the reason of they want to rebrand as per article in Wire to Fish that I read this morning. Actually, they want to take Phoenix, Dobbins, and their brands of rods and incorporate them and have a series of made in USA rods, which I think is admirable and kind of cool.
Sure.
You know, Dobbins rods, and they're a tremendous rod, all South Korean. So at least at the time when I knew Gary and worked with him, that's where all his rods were coming from. So to make a made in USA rod and kind of rebrand it and kind of bring it in is kind of cool. But I started thinking about it as a tackle store owner, and you and I have been around it for quite a while now. I just start to question myself: are these corporations what's causing an issue with product availability, price fixing, constant inflation in merchandise? You know, it's getting, our window is getting tighter and the prices are getting higher. And it started to dawn on me, I really think we're down about a dozen companies that own it all. I mean, they really own it all. And maybe that's where I've been fishing for, where I think the problem is in the industry. I wonder if that's where our underlying issue is. Because every time it's successful small business, makes a good bait, get it up off the ground and get going. Next thing you know, it's a GSM Outdoors, it's a Rather Outdoors, it's a Shimano, it's one of these companies. They suck it up, and then it's Pradco. I mean, Pradco bought Norman and Bobby Garland and Pure Fishing, and it has 17, 20 brands. You know, next thing you go to ICAST and you want to go look at the market, there's going to be like 6 booths that has 500 labels on it.
It's definitely hard on sponsorship part. I mean,
and that's where I was going with that.
It's really hard on the sponsorship stuff, you know, and it's just because, you know, it would be silly business for some of those companies to sponsor this guy with rods, and then, you know, other companies sponsor him with something else that owns something totally else. So it's dang sure making it hard on the fishermen to get individual sponsors, you know, for different equipment and different things like that. Where it used to be, you know, as long as you didn't get a competing sponsor, you know, it was easy, you know. Well, now it's not as easy, right? Because now, like you say, there's about a half a dozen companies that own the bulk of it. And if you start using one of their products, they're going to want you to use all of their products and not the other people's, which is, like I say, that's smart business on their part.
And I don't know the right word is exclusivity.
Yeah. Yes.
Exclusive contract.
Yeah. You know? But like I say, that also makes it hard to acquire those people for sponsors.
That's right.
You know, simple as that, you know.
But, let's take this step further. You and I both know anglers are sponsored by a company and don't use their crap until they're on TV.
Sure.
And they pick up that rod or that reel and pick it up so the camera sees it. And then when the camera packs up and leaves, they get out their shit they like and do that.
Well,
some.
You know, you know, I've been pretty lucky. Well, I say pretty lucky. I've been pretty fortunate. Most of the sponsors that I've ever had, I got them because I liked what they had. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't get them just because it was a better paycheck or something like that. There's a gnat trying to eat me.
He's yours, not mine.
It'd be a big damn gnat, wouldn't
it? A gnat or a fruit fly?
I don't know. Could be one of them.
What if gnats are like flies that they poop on you when they land?
I don't know.
Did you know a fly does that?
That's kind of gross.
Just telling you. I always heard that. I don't even know if that's true, but I was always told. Or they throw up. I think a fly vomits on you every time they land.
I think those are buzzards.
Is it a buzzard?
I think it's buzzards.
Anyway, back to the sponsor story.
Anyways, back to the sponsor stuff. It's just getting harder and harder to get sponsors. You know, get sponsors like that. You know, looking at what they've bought recently, you know, they've got some heavy hitters they've bought there.
That's right.
You know, buying Yamamoto is a big deal. Yeah. You know, that's a big company.
And it's crazy because you and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. About 2-3 months ago, and we really didn't get detail on it, but Yamamoto came out with bulk packs. I mean, And we all, as old bass fishermen, man, the best thing in the world to buy in bulk, you know what that was? 10-inch power worms.
Yeah.
I mean, we all used it because they just tore quick and it was all cool. But the only thing that I think it tears quicker than a 10-inch power worm
Is a
is a
Cinco.
Cinco.
That's right.
And guess what? At least the GSM people said, hey, you know what? We can sell 50 packs, 100 packs. Why
Yeah.
not? We're gonna take them out of the market and every other Cinco out there, and they'll just buy ours and use their 5 colors and go.
Yeah.
I
It.
don't know. What's your thoughts on bulk packs
Oh, I like it. I like the idea
from
of
the
that.
fisherman standpoint?
From the fisherman standpoint,
Yeah.
yeah. When you
From
use
a
them like
sales
what we do,
standpoint, I like small packs because
Yeah.
they're consumable and they come back and buy more.
they
You
have
get
to
a
come
discount
back.
for big stuff. But if you don't do that, they're going to go online and buy
Yeah.
whatever they want. So I might as well get the bulk pack sale. You know?
And that's probably what they're shooting for.
Yep.
Is getting a tackle warehouse purchase over
I
a small
guess.
town tackle store like this. You
I
know?
guess. You know, I don't
So-
know. We can get to whole, and I'll have to do that under a shameless plug. I've been experimenting with new baits too, trying to see if there's like that niche that somebody's
Yeah.
going to jump on. I've ordered some really cool crap you haven't seen. And the stuff that I wouldn't normally buy. Because, see, my rule of thumb is when I buy something for the store, I'm always playing it safe. I buy, like you said, you get a sponsor what you like. I buy what I like. So when I go out of business, I have a whole bunch of stuff I can fish with. But I understand now that apparently I don't use the right stuff because nobody wants to buy what I like.
Well,
So I just buy a little extra for myself and put some on the wall. I will tell you, however, I do sell more of the Sexy Shad, plain ass, not a jackhammer, chatterbait.
yeah.
And I use that thing, and we'll have that conversation, but sell that a ton. But yeah, and that's so in the
Yeah,
crowd
you're-
here they said
you're
'cause I
never-
don't stock any.
You're never going to
jackhammers,
have
so I
jackhammers because
force-
they're too
I
expensive.
force the sale. I always carry. I will have some in tomorrow. I carry like 3 at a time.
A
I keep 3.
jackhammers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I carry 3.
You are expanding now.
Yep, white, chartreuse white, maybe a bluegill, or
So-
or it's like the height special, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I do. But that's
okay.
but we're not getting off that.
It's
That's
okay.
That's a totally different deal.
You have to run your store like
But-
you want to run your store.
I've been buying for fall early
Yeah.
because I've been on the Debbie Downer conspiracy theory for like 9 months. I think the whole thing's going to crash. We're not going to get anything. So I've been preparing for fall. So I've been buying glides and swims.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
There's some
And-
new stuff too. There's
Yeah.
some nice new stuff coming
Yep.
out.
I started opening stuff up on this. This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that. Just get to that. So I don't even know. So we're done with the industry news, I think.
You know what? It's been that way for years, but it is getting worse now where there's only about, like say, half a dozen companies that own everything.
Yeah.
So makes it hard.
And-
Makes it hard to acquire a new sponsor.
So
That's for sure.
it made me think about it really hard. So what I've done is I have reached out to probably this week 8, 10 small tackle manufacturers, and I think we'll start a series probably next month. We'll invite these manufacturers owners in, and just kind of get a feel for what they think the industry's going. What's kind of a niche? How do they connect with local anglers? And the ultimate question is, when you get successful, you're going to sell out. You know, that's
kind of the way the industry. That's not necessarily the way our industry's always been.
it's kind of the way
But
it is now.
that's kind of the way the world works.
I
you
think
know.
it's fair to ask. You know, I mean, Lord knows if somebody walked in and said, "Hey, I really like your little crappy tackle store. I'd like to give you an outlandish amount of money for it," and I'd be like, "Here you go.
Yes, you can.
Scoop minnow away, buddy. It's all
That's
yours. You can have those $1.99 scoops. I don't
That's
care."
right.
Yeah. So I don't blame them for doing it, but
No.
I just kind of want to hear their perspective of what their dreams and goals are. You know, maybe the industry has shifted where their goal is to find a big corporation to buy them out.
Yeah.
You know, put their nose down and go. So
Dobbins,
we'll have some
you
on.
know, Dobbins was always, you know, a really good guy, you know, and really good to work with. I mean, my son's bought a lot of tackle from him, a lot of rods from him over the years, and he's always been a really great guy to be around. And you know, maybe he's just ready to go fishing.
Well,
Get out of it and go fishing.
if you want to talk about Gary a little bit, I was fortunate enough to work with him out
Yeah.
in California in the Wild West Bass Trail. Him and Matt Morgan had bought that company, and I worked with him for a season, maybe 2. I can't remember. I got fired. It was fine. I wasn't that good. I wasn't the Mercer that they were looking for, but went to dinner with him every night I was there. He's a really outlandish, fun guy.
Yeah.
But at the time he was California based. He's where I learned the term regional pro because he self-proclaimed himself to be one. And he said there are pros, there are touring pros, and there are regional pros. And a regional pro never leaves their state and jacks all their money and makes a lot of money doing it. And Gary was very good at that. So
yeah, the California bunch was terrified of Gary Dobbs.
yeah, I mean, he was unstoppable, and he probably still would be. But he got Texas fever like everybody else. Moved his operations down there, built a facility, moved the rod company down, left the family behind, did the Texas thing, and he's still down there. So I don't know what his endeavors are next. Maybe he'll do the saltwater thing and head south and become a Hispanic. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Cross the border.
Yeah, cross the border, go to the beach.
Let's not talk about going back and forth, though.
We're not getting into politics. That's fine. Election's only 6 months away. We're not going to go there. You told me last week.
And we had the Angry Pirate here last week, so you had your opportunity then.
I wasn't going there, but, he made it very clear where his stance was.
That's right.
So, anyway. Yeah, Dobbs is a good guy, and I wish him the best. I hope he knocked him in the creek and made a bajillion dollars.
That's right. I hope they...
And got a lifetime supply of free rods behind it.
That's right.
Because that's, it sucks when you sell your rod company and the first thing you do is you break your rod and you're like, shit. Now, who am I going to turn this into warranty for?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
That's how my luck would work. It's like, I don't need anything. I got these 12 rods. And then, you crash your boat and break all your rod tips. And you're like, damn it. That's how it work, right?
That would be my luck, yes.
That's funny. That's funny. So, that's it on the industry news. But that's good stuff, though, right?
It was, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. I find it fascinating. So,
don't
read about it.
It's the way of the world now.
I had heard, gossip. Who was it? White River Me and Johnny Morris was going to buy a boat company. It was Falcon Boats. I heard that was scuttled in the industry. He was going to buy it, and my response was, if Johnny Morris buys Falcon, he's going to do exactly the Falcon we did with the Legend. Squash it,
throw it in the trash,
wad it up, and throw it over his left shoulder. Yep.
Yeah.
Agree? Disagree?
Falcon's a good little boat. I've actually been in them a time or two.
And that was the second thing. I thought maybe his new nitros needed a new hull.
No, it's not. I don't think it's that much better.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to replace anything, but it was a good little boat. I thought they did good.
No.
For no longer than
that's not industry news. That's just
rumor.
Real unfiltered gossip.
Ah, I see.
So just heard that kind of on the DL.
Huh.
You know what the DL means?
Down low.
Down low. Yeah,
down
just
low.
checking that.
Yeah.
Just making sure you knew the new acronyms and all the textacular things.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately.
Yep. What?
I'm just telling you, I spend a lot of time at home.
This is totally unrelated, but I got stuck on TV show. It's my go to bed TV show. For years, it was The Office. I watched The Office over and over again. It made me go to sleep. There's one now I watch. It's called Botched, and it's plastic surgery disasters. And what they do is people they have a problem. They go to these two LA doctors or Beverly Hills and they fix it. I learned a term that I've heard for years and I had no idea what it meant. And it's women with big rear ends, and they say they have a BBL. Have you ever heard that term?
No.
A BBL. Have you ever heard that one? Have you heard it? Do you know what it means? It means a Brazilian butt lift. And they do like a tummy tuck, but they lift it up and make it bigger. And then you get into what's called, I want to get into this is a fishing show, but yeah, they're huge. They're super dangerous. They stick silicone in the rear ends, and then your body fights the immunities, and then you get what's called granuloma. And so then they get like lumpy butt syndrome. And it's really weird. But anyway.
That would look bad in spandex.
So I started out on the down low, got to Brazilian butt lifts, and now let's close that page and move on because that's,
let's get away from that.
Yeah. So if you ever want to hear if somebody says I've got this great BBL, that's a Brazilian butt lift.
There you go.
Have you thought about getting one?
I have not.
Because I've seen you walking across the floor and maybe you might want to consider it.
I don't have a lot of ass. I got a little
I was going to say
place in my belt, barely holds my shorts up.
I think you've got inverted ass syndrome.
I could have.
It's pooched out the front side, kind of like a beer belly.
Is
that actually your butt or is that your belly?
I just think I don't have no ass.
No ass.
No cheeks.
All right, so moving on back to fishing because we've talked for the last few weeks. We really got off of fishing. I want to give everybody an opportunity to get back on track with us, and it's time for tech talk. We haven't done it for a while. We're getting to what I like is one of my favorite times of the year, and that is the post spawn. I really enjoy. A lot of people don't. Because I told you last week, I despise spawn fishing.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I was down in the water yesterday, and there are bass everywhere. up our river. Now, our lake, Lake of the Ozarks. If you're listening from Washington, welcome for listening to us. But I'm just throwing that out there, by the way, because we are getting some reach, by the way, and we appreciate everybody listening to us. But
New York,
yeah, there's some New York. I got some Georgia, Alabama, there's Florida. Anyway,
we're working on it.
Yeah, we're getting there. Our 90 members, we appreciate.
Talk to your friends.
Yep, we'll get to that plug here in a minute. But anyway, where's that going? Post spawn. So Lake of the Ozarks. If you guys watch Netflix, Ozark, 1,500 miles of shoreline, 70,000 docks, all that stuff is true. I was down at
more shoreline in California.
More shoreline in California. I was at the 38 to 40 mile mark, I guess. I went by land. I had to go work on a guy's boat, and I walked down to the shoreline. It was your standard pocket and a secondary in a creek, and I think I counted 30 bass with the naked eye. 30. And they were all 2-pound class fish, which to me says males. They've already spawned.
Some of them, yes.
Yep. So those are males back up protecting the nest. I'm guessing, but you're the sight fisherman pro. So
I went to Lawson Fish some tournaments this weekend, and I did see quite a few post spawn fish. We had some of those 80-degree days back the last full moon, and I think that a bunch of the smaller bass did spawn. And that's the bulk of the stringers that got caught on Sunday were spawned out, nice looking little fish, but they weren't fat. So a lot of the stringers were that 13 to 15 pounds post spawn fish.
Hey, subtle discussion that I don't have the answer to. When guys bring in the scale fish with the red tail, war clean off, male or female?
It could be both.
Really?
Yeah, it could very easily be both. Most of the time, it's female.
See, I always thought that the fan tail was the male pair in the nest, and his tail's chewed up.
They both.
She's just wore out because she's laid up there and she's keeping it.
They both wear it off.
Okay.
I mean, they both can.
Because you can see them like I've seen guys, bring them in and the blood's still running out of their tails.
Yep.
Because they're so raw, and so I want to settle that dispute. What's what?
They can be both.
So you didn't answer a damn thing.
Well, I'm just telling you. Yeah, I did. It's both. It's
so
male and female. How about that?
They all do it. They're inclusive on making a nest.
Yeah, the male does the bulk of the work, but that female, she does a lot too.
Okay.
But like I say, they can both wear their tails down.
All right. Well, all right. So there you go.
You know that you know how to tell the difference between a male and a female?
Lift their tail.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
when
you
grab a male,
the easiest way is to run a knife up them, and if eggs come out, it's a female.
When you grab a hold of a male bass right now,
they pee.
He pees.
Right.
Simple as that.
Yep. That's really not pee, is it?
No, it's probably
it's
probably the icky sticky.
Go juice.
Yeah.
Go juice.
Go juice. There you go. There you go.
How's that? Let's keep
it.
Yep.
But
priming the pump.
But
got it.
It squirts out of them now for weeks when you catch them right now.
Right.
But you can catch some really big males too. And that's first thing I do is I grab him on the back. Grab him around the gills, and I give him a little squeeze, and I want to know what he is. Okay. I want to know if it's a female that's already spawned out or if it's a male.
Why?
Yeah. Just want to know, because if it's a big old male and it pees, guess what? There's a great big old female standing there somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I knew that. I was just letting everybody know.
There you go.
What the reasoning is behind a 2-time world champion, why you want to see if the male pees or not.
I want to know, because if it's a big spawned out female and I don't see that, then that's probably the only one there.
It's a relief. I haven't had a spawn conversation for a long time, and thank you for saying the word spawn.
Well, that's what they're doing.
That's it.
What do you want me to say?
We have an old friend who passed away. You say spawned.
Yeah.
All the time. Spawned.
Yeah.
Almost got in a fight over that, but yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't hammer you for that.
I had to cover quick.
That's right.
And we'll talk about that another day too. But yeah, that's I'm not the most grammatically correct or the most articulate speaker, but spawned fish is the term.
Spawn is a time of the year where a lot of people think, "Oh man, that's so much fun." No, it's not. It's probably one of the worst times to be out there, because The strike zone is small. They don't travel to eat. They're actually not eating your lure to eat it. They're just basically getting it the hell away from the bed a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's hard to establish the right bait, because that's not really why they're biting it, Uh, so it's not a great time of the year to really chase them. And, can you catch them? If you're catching a bass right now out of Lake of the Ozarks, it's spawning in some form or fashion. Some of them are already done, but the bulk of them have not, and so, you're going to catch fish that are spawning right now, no matter what you're doing. I don't care if you're throwing a crankbait in 20 feet of water. So you're still catching fish around spawning.
Let's educate everybody, and let's talk about a couple things that are happening here too, here in Missouri, but also from here all the way to the East Coast in the next couple of days. Big weather's moved through.
Yep.
Lots and lots of water. And there's several types of water I want to discuss with you. And we're not going to use the word water column today.
Okay.
But what we're seeing right now, and you're going to see it probably at those Illinois lakes, probably Kentucky, probably northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, those lakes, you're going to have a tremendous amount of what we call inflow. And inflow is creek feeds, runoff, because the ground's already saturated. So water's just going to run into all those creeks, push out. And then on our lake, because we have a dam above us and a dam below us, right now they're running, the dam above us, which is Truman Lake, holds our flood control.
Yes.
They're way high. So they're running 50,000 cubic feet through. The floodgates are open. So we have a massive amount of flow. A guy told me the other day, he noticed it down by the dam that there was a very definitive mud line of the channel you could see, but the rest of the lake was not getting muddy. And I told him, I said, well, that's probably because the inflow is so clean, it's holding it tight, and the water is flowing so fast. That's why you see those things. But my question to you is, how does that affect the overall bass fishing environment during that time?
Well, when the water's flowing, I can tell you exactly what's taking place. They're flowing enough water through it right now that it's keeping it moving. Okay, it's not allowing it to back up into the creeks and stuff. Which this morning we had some hellacious local rain, so a lot of those creeks are going to muddy up now. I drive actually across the Gravois Arm coming down here, and it's out of its banks, it's running hard. So a lot of the creeks are going to muddy up now. I can honestly say that I think that in the next 2 weeks, probably the whole lake is probably going to get murky. I don't think there'll be any clear water on Lake of the Ozarks in another week and a half to 2 weeks, because at some point in time, the Missouri is going to get too high, and they're going to have to shut off Bagnell. And when they shut off Bagnell, then they're going to shut off Truman. And when they shut off Truman, then everything's just going to kind of recoil up into those creeks.
Right.
And when that happens, the whole lake's going to dingy up, which won't hurt a thing as far as I'm concerned. It might booger up the spawn a little bit, and it might put the spawn off a little bit. When fish are spawning, I don't think it's the fact that the water rises really too fast or something like that. I just don't think they feel comfortable building a bed when the water goes up and down. Mm-hmm. When it sets and right now, as your dad could attest, because he lives right on the water, the lake's up 6 inches, it's down 6 inches. Right. It's up, it's down. Right now, it's on the steady upflow right now because of that rain today. But by tomorrow, they'll be catching up with it, and it'll be going down a few inches. And when that happens, those fish have a hard time pulling in and saying, okay, I'm going to lay my eggs right here.
Right.
And it's because they seek the sun. They want the sun to shine on their beds so they can hatch them out, and hatch those eggs. And so a bass will put it off. Everything can be perfect. The full moon can be perfect, and everything can be perfect for them to spawn. And they'll still just hold off and say, I'm going to wait till it quits moving. And they will sometimes. I've seen them spawn here in June just as good as April, lots of times. And it's simply because something put them off. And that's happening right now.
Interesting.
Like you said, tons of 2-pounders in there.
Right.
That's because those 5-pounders are standing back there
waiting,
suspended underneath the front corners of those docks. And they're just waiting for everything to calm down.
So they can do their thing.
so they can pull in there and
And
spawn.
it's just something I didn't personally know, because there are two things that I do know. Traveling for 6 years in the South following the crappie tours, every pro says crappie don't like change. So inflow, colder water, fresh water. You think fresh water would excite fish? Crappie hate it. They
I
hate
personally
it.
think the bulk of the crappie spawn has not happened yet.
See, and that's, you and I are going to be like night and day. I think it's over,
No,
completely done.
you
And
are.
I'll
You
tell you
are
why.
out of your mind on that.
I think a
You are
phenomenon.
wrong.
I think a phenomenon happened that probably happens in a lot of lakes that we all missed. You ready for this? I think the spawn happened at night. I think everything happened. The pre-spawn, the staging, and the actual spawn happened in reverse, and everybody missed it during the day, and it happened at night.
Some of it did. Some of it does, and I believe in that. I really thought you were going someplace I wasn't
No.
going to be able to touch, but
No,
no, I kind of believe that happens.
and the only reason is that we sell 20,000 minnows a week,
I
and these guys come in and say the bite came after 8 o'clock p.m.
I
That's
talked
dark.
to a guy. I talked to a guy that's a guy that I intentionally fish in his cove a lot when I'm crappie fishing, because I want to talk to him, because I know he crappie fishes every day, and he said that was the only time he was catching them was right before dark.
Mhm.
And he said, and the beds are full.
And-
And he invited me out on his dock to look
Mhm.
at the beds.
Yeah.
And I got out and looked down, and sure enough, there's little donuts everywhere right there,
and no fish,
and not a fish standing on them.
gone.
And he told me, he says, you come back 30 minutes before dark, and he said, every one of them's got a big old black male crappie on it.
Yeah.
And
And I think it happens.
But-
It happens all over the country. I
but
think this year
don't
that's what
think
happened.
It's done.
It's it's May.
I caught some a couple days ago. Still had eggs.
We're
in 'em.
gonna argue and argue. And you know what? I catch fish in June that has eggs in it. You know what they do? They dissolve them up, they eat them, and they
might.
move on.
They might.
It's over, dude.
I don't think so.
The fat lady has sung. Crappie fishing,
You
Lake of the
are
Ozarks,
wrong.
over.
It's okay. We don't have to agree. That's why
That's
they call
right.
it unfiltered.
No, unfiltered means we don't have a filter.
Oh.
We could call it real disagreeing
Well, we don't
conversation.
We don't have to agree. Let's put it that way.
That's all right. We'll find out, because I think part of it is too. I've had my ass kicked for like 3 weeks. I can't catch crappie. So
Yeah.
my instinctive answer is I'm really good at crappie fishing. So the spawn is over because I did not catch them. So that's that.
I'm
But-
gonna say there's other reasons, but I'm not gonna.
But
go into that.
I want to kind of round it about, come back to inflow, water. So crappie don't like to run in.
I don't know.
Catfish love it.
Catfish run to it.
Love it.
They run.
And they are
run
catching,
right straight to it.
They are catching studs right now.
Yep.
Studs. So
Yeah.
I didn't know where bass lied in that mix.
I can't say that bass hate it, because they like the added food too. Every little place on the lake and every little valley that comes into the lake has had runoff.
Mhm.
And when I say runoff, it pushes all kinds of new stuff in the water.
Right.
I mean, from lizards to night crawlers to other kind of bugs and different things.
And let's talk about too the fact that between a crappie and a catfish and a bass, that a bass is really the stronger predator fish.
Absolutely,
you know,
yeah.
Those conditions aren't really going to bother him as much because he's on the hunt.
Yeah, he's hunting most of the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Where a schooling fish and a catfish is bottom feeder, crappie or schooling, it's all kind of different, but kind of give you an idea when you're looking at the seasons of fishing and spawn levels and where they go, because catfish spawn later. I think we'll have, after the bass spawn's over, we'll probably have panfish spawn. And then after panfish spawn, we'll have catfish spawn, right? Typically.
The catfish normally are
June, July.
late June and July is when the catfish spawn.
Yep.
And what most people don't understand is they spawn out on points.
Yeah.
A lot of people just don't understand that. They spawn out on points.
And just, I got to break up just for a second because I just saw online, and I apologize. I always have people that make comments on Facebook when we do Facebook Live. We don't answer it, and I'm sorry. I will. Don't want to get into that whole thing, but anyway, thanks for everyone tuning in. But I saw your mom's online. So,
Good.
hey, Mama Stella, what's up? Good evening, Mama. How you doing? Is she still down here, or is she back home?
No, she's in Alabama.
Alabama. All right. Anyway,
she lives on Logan Martin Lake.
so don't care. We're not going there. I didn't mean that, Stella. If you're listening,
Way to go.
I care.
Mother's
but-
Day is a couple days away.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Say something good.
Whew.
Yeah, you better rebound off of that one.
Love you. Cheese dips in the mail.
Yeah.
Sorry. I could send you a potted plant, but it's not going to make it. So to get back on it, I was talking about the bass fishing because
I think it boogers up bass a little bit too. When it comes to the spawn, because they feel real uncomfortable with it. Now, eventually, this full moon coming up in May, they will do it. And the crazy thing about it is, I really personally think you're going to see everything doing it. I think you're going to see bluegill, bass, crappie,
blue cat.
everything's going to be doing it this next full moon. And by the way, the panfish spawn pretty much every full moon in the summer.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. They spawn in July and August.
Okay.
Lots of them.
All right.
I know. I take my grandkids to catch them.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I get it.
But anyways, it's one of those deals that the bass will put it off as long as they can, and then the bigger ones. Now when I say all of them spawn, no, some of them's already done it, but the big ones know that end of May, June, that's okay too. They can still do it.
There was a Facebook comment on our live feed that said the fish don't have a calendar.
Well, they actually do.
But they don't follow our
calendar.
So even though the conditions say I'm used to March and April.
Length of time the sun is in the sky. That's how they know what time of the year it is.
Got it.
How many hours the sun is in the sky is how they tell what time it is. And trust me, they know within days of when the full moon in May is.
All right. So I'm conceding a little. All right. Is that okay?
Oh, I don't care if you believe me.
All right.
And I don't care if whoever's answered you there about the calendar, I don't care if they know. That doesn't mean anything to me. I know when it happens.
Gotcha.
I've seen it here on this lake for 35 years.
Yeah, I'm not questioning your abilities. That's
telling
why you're on the show. I'm not the pro. I'm just the lead-in. You're the one that explains everything. So
the great thing
I
about
have
it
to take
is
your word on it.
Table Rock and
Some days.
Table Rock and Bull Shoals. It happens one full moon ahead of ours because it's just 2 hours south. So it happens, a month earlier.
So does Truman? Is it a week later?
No, Truman happens the same time we do.
Just ask because it's a higher elevation.
The only problem with Truman is Truman fluctuates so much that there's a lot of times that their spawn is not good.
Gotcha.
And that's why Truman has not got near the fish that we have in here, is because their spawn gets screwed up because of the water levels.
All right.
Almost every spring. There's very few springs that Truman has a great spawn where the water's good and steady and they have lots of good fish hatch out and stuff like that. Truman before this was actually it was awesome. There was lots of big stringers being caught. So it's come back around real good. But this year, it's going to be hard on them. This will not be a great year for the spawn for Truman.
Gotcha. All right, so I'm done talking about spawning.
All right.
I want to get to my tip of the week.
Okay, I'm listening.
This is a challenge because this is actually another thing that I don't have the answer to, but I know you do.
Okay.
Get into my favorite part of the year, which is topwater. Summer topwater is a ball. Some people don't like it. I tend to like it. So it's just one of those things in the summer. It's a really fun early morning, evening, and it doesn't have to be tournament fishing, but you can agree summer topwater fishing can be a good time.
Absolutely.
All right. So my tip of the week, and I don't have the answer, I'm going to ask you, is there's basically 3 topwater styles. We have a popper style bait, we have a buzz bait, we have a walking bait, and then we have a prop style bait. Is there really and a soft frog? We'll go with frog too. Frog, like a spook, a Zara spook, a rubber frog. Those are kind of the same. They're kind of walking baits. Then we have a buzz style bait, which is a bladed bait that runs on the surface. We've got prop bait, which would be like a whopper plopper, devil's horse. I had a guy that was looking for devil horse the other day.
Still one of my favorites.
Still a great bait.
Topwater.
My question is there a time when you should use one more than the other?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you even know?
Well, I know what I do. I know what I do.
I'm all ears.
When there's bluegill nest and bluegill beds, I like a little prop bait. I mean, because it's a stop and go motion. You want to pull it over those beds, and you want to stop it. And by stopping it, you allow those fish to really look at it. And my prop baits that I throw have the most beautiful paint jobs on them of all my top waters because I want it to look like a little bluegill. And I make it splutter just every now and then. But it's basically you're imitating one of those bluegill, the weak man out,
Injured.
the one that's injured and dying.
Injured bluegill.
That's the one you're making him come and get. And it's bite size. It's not really big. It's it's kind of a little bluegill looking size and configurations. And it has a prop on both ends. The unfortunate part is the ones I throw are custom built.
That's fine.
You can still buy them. I buy them, but they're from the North Carolina, Tennessee area, that type of stuff.
But what you're saying is that type of the year, a bluegill style bait is what you prefer to use.
Yes.
Now, I was always told that 99.8% of every topwater bait has a white belly because every fish has got a white belly. So when they swim up, they want to see a white belly.
Even a bluegill has a kind of a creamy colored belly. Yes.
So do your custom baits have white bellies? That's all they can see? So the bluegill part's just for you.
It looks like a bluegill. Trust me.
You understand my question, right?
Yeah.
Most baits are on the top, have the color. The bottoms are white. Is yours bluegill on the bottom too, or is it white also?
It has a very kind of a creamy colored, with a slight orange tint to it.
I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. You hear him with that, right?
No, yeah.
Because the top part's for you.
Sure.
Makes you feel good about it. But so really the bait
when I throw a popper or I throw a spook, it's shad colored.
Right.
It's strictly shad colored. I don't think you can take a popper. You have a lot of people that throw a popper out there, a small popper type bait and stuff, and they work it slow like that. I don't think it looks as good as when you're moving it. A popper, if you keep a good steady pace or keep it moving, I think you catch more fish with it.
Right.
Same way with a spook type bait, and that's a walking type bait. I think you have to keep the motion as what draws them to it, and it looks like a shad.
Right.
So you got to keep it kind of steady. Most of the time you don't see a shad just standing around. If they are standing around, they're going in a circle.
Right.
And you know why they go in a circle?
Because they're defending themselves.
Because
something else is going to eat them.
Something's going to eat them.
I call it circling the wagons.
They've been pushed together by a bass.
If they're in a straight line and they're swimming along,
there's nothing chasing them.
But if they're in a circle, what they do is they gather numbers to make them look like one big fish. That's a defense mechanism. So that's generally there's game fish in the area. That's free tip, everybody.
That's right.
That's one I did learn. Another thing, and I'm going to throw
a buzz bait. Let me finish the topwater deal.
We're not done with poppers yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting into that.
Gotcha.
We're good. Big word, entomology. You know what that is?
No.
The study of insects.
Yeah.
So entomologists say that you always want to, in fly fishing, you know the term, right? Match the hatch.
Yep.
Right. So popper baits, I always thought would be more along the mayfly, the cicada hatch, all those things where insects are coming down, they're hitting the water, and there's kind of just one spot. And that's where that popper bait would come in a little more appropriate. I can't tell you how many times I've, and telling on myself, flung my jig up and whacked a tree, and all the bugs hit down, and the water explodes.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, that's, don't laugh. You've done it too. Hell, that's why you're laughing. God, the crowd laughing like I'm some dumbass, but it happens.
I do it intentionally.
Yeah. And I've heard of guys that do that. Take a long pole, shake the tree, and then throw your bait in.
When I fish a buddy tournament and the mayflies are hanging in them trees, the guy in the lead boat's never going to catch one. Because he's knocking them out of the trees.
Yeah.
And I sit 20 foot behind him, and after them mayflies hit the water, and then bluegills start coming up there and snapping and popping.
But you throw a jig in, right?
I pitch a jig at them most of the time.
Yeah, you get that fall because they hit it on the fall most of the time, right?
The bass is not quite coming up on them yet.
Yeah.
Will a bass eat those bugs? Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. But they're going to hit the fish.
They're going to hit the
crawdad
fish.
It's coming down. So a bluegill jig on that situation.
It's just drawing them in.
But if you want to have a hell of a good time, you can throw a teeny tiny popper, catch a bunch of bluegill. Do that too.
The funnest fishing some of the funnest fishing I've ever done in my life is when they have one of those bug hatches up north on those northern lakes and those smallmouth.
Right.
Because they eat those bugs. They eat the hulls out of those bugs and stuff off of those bugs. It's crazy.
The shells?
The shells.
Okay. So
Hulls.
anyway, hulls.
I did not say that wrong. Hulls.
No, I just have never heard
the
that way
shells
before.
come off of them. They float to the
They're
surface.
exoskeleton.
Yes, there you go. Exoskeleton.
How's that? Okay.
Dadgum. Who do you think we're talking to on this deal?
Just throwing it out there, man. Okay, so we got the popper part.
I'm
Bart.
just going to say somebody is going to send in and say, exo what?
Exoskeleton.
Yeah.
That's right.
You guys are trying way too hard at teaching these people how to
I
fish.
data science teacher, dude.
I understand. They understood hulls, okay? You didn't have to carry it any further.
All right. Okay, so we covered the popper. Now we're to buzzbaits. The frog kind of the same. The frogs and spooks are kind of in the same ballpark, right?
The frog for me is a walking type bait.
Yep, and that falls in the spook category. However, standing grass, algae blooms, I seem to have better luck with a frog thrown over the mat than I do trying to drag a spook with hooks in it.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's really the difference between the two, right?
Your percentage of cast is better.
That's right, because you can throw it into that stuff.
Yes, you're not screwed up all the time.
I mean, and I don't want to be, I'm trying to educate those that are out there. We both agree that spook is more open water, to get to walk the dog, but you want to throw a frog in the nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're going to snag up, right?
Yep.
Or am I wrong there?
Nope, not at all.
That's pond fishing, that's where it's at. And then we get to buzz baits, whopper ploppers.
There's one thing that I talk about every now and then, and I talk about it about once a week. It's efficiency. The more efficient cast you make in a day, the better chance you have at catching more fish. So you're not going to throw a spook up there where every other cast you're hung in the grass.
It's all disagreement night.
So you throw a frog up there, you're not screwed up every other cast.
Yeah, but how many times you heard, and we talked about this a bajillion times in the show, that guy throws out there and backlashes his crap up, picks it out and sits it forever. The next thing they pick up and they got big bass of the day. And it wasn't a good, accurate cast. It wasn't presentation. It was just like
that
shithouse luck.
That just goes to show that we work our stuff way too much.
That's a good point. All right.
When a jig and a crawdad looks its best?
When he's standing still.
Standing still. Perfectly still on the bottom of the lake. That's when it does the best mimic of a live crawdad is when it's standing on the bottom and you just...
Yeah, that's we could have a whole episode on that.
I
mean, you seriously can.
Yes.
Because that's silicone skirt, living rubber skirt, what kind of trailer, floating trailer, sinking trailer.
People... It's no different with a Zoom fluke, a fluke type bait. 99% of the people that throw a Zoom fluke work it too damn much. You do too much with it.
Right.
Okay. Very seldom do you see a bluegill coming through the water, dodging back and forth, and stuff like that.
Unless they got hammered.
Unless he's being chased.
Yeah, they're hurt. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when you're out there, if they're chasing them you're going to see that. You're going to see that before you ever throw at that fish. You're going to see one run a bluegill out on the bank, or you're going to see a shad come shooting out of the water. Then you can be more aggressive with your cast. But 99% of the time, that bluegill just paddling along next to a little tree or something, or standing there at the corner of a dock, just standing there perfectly still.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of my stuff. I pitch a fluke style bait out there, and I just let it sink to the bottom, just ever so slow.
But here's one for you, and you brought it up because, as you and I both know, I love fall shallow fishing. Around docks. That's kind of my thing. My 12-pound string. That's how I do it. So, with that being said, yeah.
That's where you rake it in.
That's where I rake it in, buddy. You want to talk about, I can do 36 pounds in 3 days like clockwork.
That's right.
So, and anyway, but when I see on the corner that bluegill that's sitting still, I kind of feel like a shad swimming in a straight line. There's like nothing going on there. I pass those by. Is that a mistake?
I think that I just think that you have to think about what the food's doing. And when I say that, it changes. It changes. It's always been my deal. We're on topwaters. You hear guys, oh man, I have to look away from that topwater when one bites it.
Because the reaction strikes
so he'll
fast.
get away from it. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
What if he misses it completely?
Yeah.
If he misses it completely and doesn't touch it, guess what? I'm going to wind the hell out of it. I'm going to take off winding the crap out of it. No, I'm going to wind it real fast because I can only imagine if I was a shad down there in the water and something big come up tried to eat me, I'd try to get the hell out of there.
Right.
Okay, so the most natural thing for that fish to see
Are you saying think like a fish?
yeah, kind of.
Hmm.
You know, if he knocks it out of the water, if he comes up and hits your top water goes through the air and then it lands back down on the water, and you don't know that,
Right.
what are you gonna do with your bait?
That's
When mine hits back in the water, I'm gonna take that spook and I'm just gonna shake my rod tip, and it's gonna lay there and quiver on the surface of the water. And the next time he bites it, he'll have it swallowed clean to his goozla.
goozela. That's a good one.
That's right.
I'll remember that one. The goozela. That's going to be. We're going to use that one for months.
Or
Now,
it will
so-
be, or he will eat it so good it's trying to come out the back end of him. All right?
He ate it so deep he pooped it out
That's
his
right.
cornhole. Got it. So here's another one. It's a big misconception of topwater fishing. I want to ask you this. You know, you talked about missing your bait. I think, and there's two levels of thought here, and I don't know the answer which is correct or not. Maybe you don't either. But you're reeling in your buzz bait, plop, 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 and a fish blows up behind it. You throw back in there again, or do you reel slower the second time or faster for reactionary strike? Was it too slow the first time and they flash behind it, or did you not fish fast enough and you speed up the second time and you get that reaction strike the second time? Which is the right way to go there?
I always give him another cast and I reel it back in the same way I did the first time. Because odds are if he missed it, you surprised him.
Mhm.
Okay, you came up on his blind side or something. However, he was standing on that piece of cover that you threw it around, or the rock that he was hiding by, or whatever. You probably came up on his blind side, and so I'm going to throw it back in there again. Do the exact same thing because now he knows it's there,
Mhm.
and he's out moving. You know, you made him leave his hiding spot, so the next cast is going to go right back in there where he was at, and I'm going to wind it out the same way because odds are when it hits, he's going to hear it. He's going to hear it bubbling to him if it's a buzz bait, and he's going to get a better position on it the next time.
Right.
You know,
If you're fishing with a partner, and I'll have to actually give my dad kudos. We fish really well together with topwater fishing because we always have a shaky head laying around or a good worm. And when one blows like that, if the guy grabs the worm and flips in right behind it, about 8 out of 10 times I can catch that fish.
as soon as he
You know?
as soon as he strikes at your lure, he's hunting.
Yeah.
He's now
He's still there.
He's
Yeah.
officially on the move trying
Yep.
to find something.
Yep.
And you know, because a lot of people think that, you know, just because you find him, you can make him bite. No, you have to trigger him into a feeding.
Mhm.
You know, you have to kind of trigger him into thinking, "Oh, I'm going to eat." You know,
Right.
and so the next thing in there is not 99% of the time going to get him.
Yeah.
You know,
But
but
you got to be quick about it.
you
gotta
gotta
have
be
your A
pretty
game
quick
on,
about
you know,
it.
when you're fishing, if two guys
Because
fishing topwater, it's
because if
not
he
as
gets back
effective.
in there and he gets settled back in,
Mhm.
he's going to almost always face the same direction. When he
Right.
stands in a tree, he's got his favorite spot. It's just like
Right.
your easy chair sitting in front of the TV.
Which-
You have your spot where you like to sit. The bigger he is, he damn sure knows where he wants to stand.
And let's not forget that we talked about it earlier, and we kind of missed this, but you know this, and I know this, and probably most of the guys know this. When you get a bunch of rain and a bunch of current, which way does the old bass face?
Into the current.
He puts his nose in the current. So remember that. Throw upstream, let your bait flow downstream to your target. Because if you don't, you throw to that thing and it swoops down, you're going to miss that fish because he's not there. He's up there, nose up in the current looking for that fish.
If you
For that
surprise him and you get right close to him, he still might strike at it, but he won't. About half the time, he'll grab at your bait and you'll lose him. A lot of times, you'll miss him, or you'll hook him for just a second. That's because he didn't get it good.
Right.
If it flows into his face, he hears it coming, he feels it coming, and he's going to get it most of the time.
Right. Now, we're getting a lot of questions tonight.
Okay.
So
Take a
which is
couple.
kind of great. I have been. I've
Yeah,
been
take some.
incorporating them in. I'm not saying, hey,
Sure.
David or Bill said this from Arkansas,
Yeah.
but that's how most of the good podcasts go, but I just don't give them the credit. But instead I act like I made up the question myself, but I'm really looking at my corner going, okay, I
Well, do
see
it.
this. So, one of the questions is dead fish in the summer. You know, when you're running, fishing at night, hot water, do you have any good tips on how to keep fish alive? During
Sure.
these months, it's
Got to keep your water cool. That's the main thing. Got to keep fresh, cool water on them
without shocking them.
without shocking them. Yes,
It's a
you can't.
slow acclimation.
Yeah, you can't just dump a whole bunch of ice in there. But what you need to do is try to keep your water a few degrees cooler than what the outside water is. But the main thing is fresh water. I leave my live wells pumping fresh water all the time. And I don't, I fish a lot of these night tournaments. We don't have trouble killing fish. And to say that we ever put a lot of ice on them, we really don't, we just put a couple of handfuls in there every now and then. Use a little bit of G juice. I like G juice. Do I put a lot? Nope. I put it in about once an hour, and I put in the recommended dosage for my live well, because I have seen people that put too much on them, and it made them puny.
Right.
So not knocking G juice. You just shouldn't over medicate.
Right.
I
have two to add to that.
Okay.
If you'd like. One tip I saw in crappie fishing was huge. Is guys would get, and this was actually one of my employers told me this. Get a white towel. Most carpets are gray, black, dark colors, generate a lot of heat.
Yep.
Get a white towel, get it wet, and lay it over your live well lids. Just out there in the open, and that reflects the light off and actually keeps your live well cooler.
Yep.
Because every live well, if you look at the inside of it's white. There's a reason why. They're not black because they absorb heat. Second thing is, and this was one you taught me way back when the old Ranger 520 days. Try not to pump in fresh water when you're fishing 2 foot of water. That water's 96 degrees in the summer.
Super hot.
Super hot. Don't pump your recircs when you're doing that. But get out into open water.
No. Put your live wells on recirculate.
On recirc, yes.
When you go in there, before you go in there.
Don't put fresh water in. You're fishing a creek. But when you get out to the main lake, if you're running back and you have a big long run, if you remember this or not, shut down, put your boat in reverse, run a reverse circle. And what that does, that prop will blow that cold water and force feed back into your live well feed, fill your water up really quick with fresh, cool water, make the rest of your run.
Yep.
It's the easy way to fill it back up quick, put some fresh water in your live well, keep those fish alive. That's a really cool tip. It's worked for me a couple times when I made long 40, 50, 60-mile runs. You're banging around, that water's going to drain out anyway, but it gets hot, so you just spin around and back it up. But it was 15 years ago when I made those runs, but not anymore. But
Camus has a valve on theirs that lets fresh water in while you're running down the lake, and that's the greatest thing ever, because you open up your live wells, they're clear full all the time. They never bleed down any. They stay real full, and I think that's a big key. I mean, just keeping them live wells full so that fish can't slosh around. That water getting to sloshing around. Mm-hmm. You see a lot of these guys putting pool floaties in their live wells now.
Yep.
That's so that water can't slosh around in there and beat the fish up.
There's a lot of new innovations in bass boats too, where they fill all the way to the top and the lid seals, so there's no splashing whatsoever. But can't beat your fish to death when you're making a big run. That's important also.
No, and stop and give them a break.
Yep.
Allow an extra 10 minutes on your run going back.
In our big words of the night, one of our viewers posted in, "What a plethora of information tonight."
Plethora. That's a good word.
Plethora is a big word. We got a big word tonight.
I'm going to use that in a sentence here.
I was just kind of tickled we didn't say spawned, but now we're like in plethora. It's it's really cool. Thanks for that one, Sam. So anyway, that's good stuff tonight. So the only thing we didn't talk about in the end, I don't really care. The buzz bait and the prop bait. That's just a cast and retrieve for reactionary strike. Done. But
a buzz bait to me, especially post spawn and during the spawn, I think it's a sound that a bass hates, because it seems like if you get a bass to bite you during the spawn and just post spawn on a buzz bait, it's a vicious bite. Yeah. I mean, they blow water out of the, it's as vicious a topwater bite as you might ever get. And I think they think it's something that's really evil or something. I don't know, but they smash it.
Yep, and there has been people who rolled their eyes tonight talking about topwater fishing, but I love it for that because it's like as close to a good quail hunt as you can get.
Yes, absolutely.
When that bird goes on point and those coveys rise and your heart's racing, and you're going to drop that bird. It's the same thing. It's when you're reeling it in. You're watching it. And you're just waiting. You don't know, and just like you wish it on. But when it explodes, I mean, you almost like crap your pants and get all excited all at the same time, and it's cool.
I wish I had a bird dog to point out them bites, because every now and then I screw one up.
And I'm
a little too hair triggered for some of that stuff.
Now you and I have talked about swim bait, glide bait, that kind of stuff. when you catch a topwater fish, does that rule still apply? Don't play them.
Oh yeah.
Keep pressure
Well,
on, bring them in.
It depends. It depends. If I see it, get it. If I see the fish, get it. And that's another reason I pay attention. Because if you ever have one of them ones that comes up, just slurps it. It just barely slurps it down. He's got the back hook 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be careful if you're throwing, Popeye style hooks or, a little, 6 or something like that. You got to be careful with that. But if I'm throwing a spook or something like that, no, I'm dragging him to the boat.
You a fan of trailer hooks?
On a buzz bait sometimes,
spinner baits
sometimes. I really for a buzz bait and for a spinner bait, yes. For a buzz bait, I don't mind missing him because he gives up where he's at. If he comes up, smashes my buzz bait, doesn't get it, I know where he lives now. He just give up his hiding spot. So I'm going to go back an hour later and take a Cinco or a fluke or maybe a little jig, and I'm going to pitch in there and I'm going to catch him.
So everybody read between the lines and listen to that. He said an hour later.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily
let him settle back in.
Yeah,
got the ambush
because
spot.
I want him to go back and get set up where he was at.
Does that include high pressure fishing?
Yeah.
Everybody's fishing around you. You're just going to take the chance that they're not going to find him?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to take a chance because they didn't see it bite. They don't know exactly where he came from, and odds are if he bit mine once, now don't get me wrong, I'm going to make another cast. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to go away thinking, I'll come back later. No, I'm going to make another cast because sometimes he's ready. As soon as he strikes at you once, he's ready to get it. Yep. So you can throw back and catch him again. I'm also going to pick up a follow-up bait, pitch in there a time or two, but all in the same respects, where he lives now.
Right.
It's a search bait for me as much as it is a bait to catch fish on.
Gotcha. Another online question that came in was, what's the best buzz bait on the market? And we're not going to go on the shameless plug thing, but I think one of the secrets that you've given to me that I think a lot of the bass guys know for a long time is, a buzz bait is only as good as the noise it makes.
Yes.
And the more squeaks and cranks and noise that it makes, the better off you're going to be. And the tip of the week on how to make a buzz bait noisy is...
I take mine. Mine will all have a pop rivet on it. Mm-hmm. Every one of them will have a pop rivet on the bottom. If you want to go to a lot of pain, I put a pop rivet on the top also. The top and the bottom. Now this is as such to where when it spins, those pop rivets will get up against the metal. It'll be metal on metal squeaking. And if you want to take a lot of hours off of casting, stick it out the window as you're driving down the road.
Yep.
Put about 30 miles on it, and it's ready to go.
There you go.
And it makes a lot more squeaking noise after you do that. Everything can't be real loose. Okay. A lot of people look at a buzz bait, and the blade will actually has a lot of play in it as far as where it stops and where it comes up against your pop rivet. If it's got too much play, I put beads in front of it. Mm-hmm. I put a bead or a pop rivet in front of it, and that's to kind of condense down the distance.
Travel.
Yeah, I don't want it to be going up and down.
Right.
I want it to be pretty tight up against that pop rivet.
Now,
but I take a little bit of time, hold it out the window, like I say, put a few miles on it, and it makes it a lot squeakier.
I've done that to green pumpkin lures. I want to shade off a little bit. I'll throw them in my dash and bake them a little bit. That happens too.
That's a whole nother story.
Now, you've heard the term, don't try this at home. This rule on buzz baits does not apply to a head knocker style bait.
No.
Does not apply because you'll beat the lead right off of it, and that won't work.
Well,
and it also probably might.
They won't spin.
They won't spin at all.
They won't spin.
It's like you'll be a whack, 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 and then you have a flat blade.
That's
so
right.
don't hang a head knocker out the window because that's not going to work.
60 mile an hour with a head knocker doesn't work.
I'm kind of curious how it would play out, but it wouldn't be good. So yeah, good stuff tonight. That was good. That was a good layout. I'm done. I'm ready
shameless
to go home.
Plug. You got to give a shameless plug.
I don't have one tonight, really.
What are we going to do about the free stuff? Did we ever figure that out?
Yeah, I did, but I didn't write down her name. It was some gal.
She won already?
Well, I said with those subscribed, let's run it one more week, and we'll double up. We'll double down. So we've got like 30 jigs we can give away. So what we're asking you to do is get on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Real Unfiltered Talk. You can drop us an email at realunfilteredtalk@gmail.com. let us know. We'll get you signed up, and we're gonna give some stuff away. It's kind of cool.
We got some Bojangle stuff.
Yep.
Some stuff from Baitworks, which is
Maybe we could do
Hibdon's
like
hammers.
our 100th subscriber or something. I don't know, 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000. I don't know.
Whatever we get to first.
We'll have to get some heavy hitters coming in because we're like at 22 or something. I don't know. No, we're better than that, but I mean it's 5. Yeah, we got like 6, but we're getting there.
As of right now, we could give everybody a prize.
That's right. That's right. But it was a good.
We're not doing that though.
It was a good tech night, and it was good. So get on, subscribe. We'll extend it one more week. Get on, subscribe to the channel, and we'll announce the winner next week.
Okay.
And we'll give away some stuff. I'll ship it to you for free, so you don't have to be present to win. Even though the guys here are like, damn it.
That's right.
So yeah, I don't.
Don't feel bad. They get their stuff. Okay.
Yep.
We give them stuff too.
Yep. I guess my shameless plug.
Not you two.
If I was going to give a shameless plug, I bought a bunch of coal shads this week from Berkeley. And I don't know if you've ever messed with those. I think they're kind of cool.
Really?
I like those. Yeah, they've got a swim bait and a glide bait, a paddle tail bait, swim bait, and a glide bait. And for the price point, kind of digging them. I'll have to throw them in the tank and see how they go, though. But they're pretty cool.
That's a big deal in the swim bait era right now. I mean, some of this stuff's outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like $9 to $14, and that's not bad.
That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, not bad. But of course, you can buy a $6 bait, and then you go out there and you throw it in the lake, and it flips upside down, and it's like it's got ripped off.
Yeah.
So I would like to give it a shameless plug, and I hope it fishes as well as it looks, but I have not tried one yet. But kind of digging that. Like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of shameless plugs in the next few weeks. We're going to have some tackle manufacturers in, and they're going to want to talk about their stuff, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I think probably you and I are both the same way. We'll be courteous to them, but if their stuff isn't good, we're going to tell them.
Oh yeah.
Of
course.
Even though the one time I asked you to be honest, you didn't.
What?
Do you remember back like 6 months ago, we had a rod manufacturer come in here and he's like, hey, and he's trying to sell me a bunch of rods, crappie rods. Do you remember that day?
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought to myself, so he's got these rods.
That was on your.
And
that was unfortunate. That was unfortunate for you.
So there's a term I use called saving somebody. And typically what my dad and I do, we're in the store and you got a salesman in there. I tug my ear like this, and they'll know that I need to be saved, which means I don't want to buy anything from this guy. Don't like his stuff. And so old Dion, who was unfiltered, I thought, well, this would be great. This guy's like, check out my rods. They're like, they're this and they're this, and they're super awesome and they're great. And I'm just like, number one, they're like a made in USA price.
They were like,
and number two,
they're
like Wally Marshall quality. And 3, and I'm like, they're ugly.
Yeah,
and so I thought to myself, what I'll do is I'll ask Dion what he thinks. He's going to say, well, these are crap. So I thought this is perfect. So I take these rods over and I'm like, hey, dude, what do you think? And you're like, well, these are okay. And I'm like, seriously, dude?
At no time did you touch your earlobe.
You didn't
Not
know
once.
the rule.
You did not give me the signal.
I'm like, oh, man. So anyway.
So did you buy some?
You know the answer to that. You know the answer to that.
Is that the stuff we gave away?
No, I didn't even. You know what? He gave me one sample, and I gave it to my 2-year-old son, and he broke it.
Oh, well, so there you go.
And I think it was a manufacturer's defect. It wasn't him. So anyway, a whole nother story altogether.
Yes.
What we're going to talk about next week. I think we need to bring a guest on next week. You want to do that?
Sure, absolutely.
Who are we going to get?
I don't know.
They're starting to kind of line up. It's kind of cool. I'm excited.
I'm taking John Nipperadney tomorrow.
Are you?
Yeah.
Let's get him. Tell him we need to be on next week.
Next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Because he said, get this. So here in Missouri, if you guys listen from all over the country, we have one toll bridge in the entire state of Missouri. All right. It's here at the lake, and it goes over the lake. He would not come on the podcast because he didn't want to pay the toll bridge fee to come over. And I said, John, I'll pay your toll. It's $3. And he's like, well, when the toll's over, I'll come over. So if you're taking John fishing tomorrow, John Nipperadney, I'm calling you out. Get over here. The toll is now free. I'll throw you $5 for gas. It's all good. I'll give you a package of Hibdon Hammer jigs. It's all good. I don't have an angler of the week this week, do you? It's okay.
Yeah, I don't actually remember who won.
Doesn't matter.
Donnie Snelling and Wolf finished like third.
Yeah.
two of the old timers.
Local guys.
Local
Yeah.
old timers.
Yeah, local guys.
Yeah.
On the national level, I didn't pay attention this week.
Yeah.
Don't care.
What's funny is Donnie sits around and bitches about everything. I mean, when you're at a tournament weigh-in, Donnie Snelling's bitching about something. Okay, he come in, he's leading the tournament. I'm like, holy crap! I got to go talk to Donnie right now. He's leading the tournament. Somebody came in and beat him, so I couldn't.
Yeah, you turn around
because now he's turning around.
right?
Now he's bitching again. I was actually walking to his truck, and I'm like, gum. I turned around, walked right back to the weigh-in. I thought, nope,
Nice.
ain't doing that.
Nice. All right. Well, good stuff tonight. I appreciate you coming. As always, thanks for the crowd that showed up tonight. And we're going to see you again tomorrow. I feel
Let's
like
wait
I just
till
want to
next
do this
Wednesday.
daily thing.
We should.
Thanks for watching Real Unfiltered Talk. We're going to be live on, gosh dang, I can't even talk right now. I have to do the
Wednesday.
reset. Do me pull back in the radio voice. You ready?
Yeah, do it.
You ready? Thanks for tuning in to Real Unfiltered Talk. Tune in next week at Wednesday, 6 p.m. with Dion and James Bryant. We're going to talk fishing, little unfiltered talk, and find us on Apple, on podcast, and Buzzsprout, and YouTube, and we'll be on Facebook Live here at Bryant's Osage Outdoors here in Lori. Anything else?
That was perfect. You did
Yeah,
great.
it wasn't that
great
great.
job. Yeah, it wasn't. You stumbled a little
So,
bit. in the
guys,
middle.
be careful in the water, good fishing, be safe, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 6, okay? For all of us, thanks for tuning in.